Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about some things you might be doing that are making your anxiety worse when you're trying to make it better. And if you're new here, welcome. My name's Kati Morton. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And just to ensure that we all know what we're talking about here, when I use the term anxiety, what I'm actually describing is known as generalized anxiety disorder. And when we're talking about diagnosing this, what this means is that we have something called uncontrollable worry. I know we all have worries from time to time. That's not really what I'm talking about. This kind of worry is like, oh my God, I think they're going to think badly about me. Oh my God, what if I didn't do this? It's like constant about a bunch of different things. And no matter what I do, it doesn't go away, hence uncontrollable. And this is going to happen for most days in our life for 6 months. So you can see how like pervasive and almost long-term this is. And this has to occur in more than one scenario, meaning, for example, it doesn't just happen in our social relationships or social situations, which is like a tongue twister. If that was the only time I felt anxiety is like, oh, lots of people around, then I would have what's known as social phobia or social anxiety. Generalized anxiety disorder applies to more than one area of our life, like work and social or at home or pretty much all throughout our life, right? And so that's why I thought it'd be important for us to address some of the things we might be doing that we think is going to make it better, but it makes it worse. And to help me out as we talk about these things, my good friend Kelsey Darragh is here. Tell them a little bit about, she also has an amazing book called Don't Fucking Panic, you should pick up. But share with us what you do. Anxiety, I know is something you've talked about a lot.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so excited you're here. I'm Kelsey Darragh. I am a content creator, writer, and filmmaker. And as you mentioned, I wrote Don't Fucking Panic. The shit they don't tell you in there be about anxiety disorder, panic attacks, and depression, which is me. I've been experiencing and living and thriving with this since I was in my teenage years. So for 17 years, I've been living with generalized anxiety disorder, panic, and depression.
Yeah, I love thriving though, because sometimes we get diagnoses and we can feel like, oh, my life is over, or oh, now this is who I am. But it's just another thing. We all have our ish. We all have stuff we have to manage, and we can thrive with a mental illness.
Yeah, absolutely. It's management, guys. You can do it. If I can do it, oh, anyone can do it.
So when I talk about things that you might be doing that make your anxiety worse, you think makes it better, what comes to mind for you?
Totally the first thing that popped up for me was using our phones too much. So for me, when I'm experiencing anxiety or even a panic attack, I'll go straight to my phone because I'm thinking distraction, find community, maybe text my therapist. But then I, of course, will get distracted by something else. I'll end up being on my phone for too long. Now I'm comparing myself to that girl on Instagram, and it just makes my anxiety so much worse. So watching and limiting that phone time or the use of the phone when you're experiencing those things, definitely key for me.
No, totally, because I'll get on my phone to think that, oh, I'm going to do this thing or take action that's going to be helpful. And before I know it, I'm like doom scrolling through things, or the comparison factor. Because why is everybody on vacation when I'm working so fucking hard? It's so exhausting. So I totally feel you on that. And just pay attention to how long you're spending. If you feel better or worse before or after, take note of that and then change things accordingly. But yeah, what came to my mind when I was trying to put this together and trying to think of these things was the fact that often we've been told, and I was even taught this in school, but spoilers, it's not the fact anymore, is thought stopping. What we actually find is that instead of trying to stop it or suppress it, because that actually makes it worse, instead we want to just acknowledge, oh, I'm having an anxious thought, and then we can do something about it. So we can acknowledge the thought. It's just a thought. Thoughts are not feelings. Thoughts are not facts. If you have a thought multiple times, still not a fact.
No, crazy.
Imagine.
Our brains, it's wild.
But so it's a thought, then we can say, hey, let me check my facts on that. Do I have any facts to support this? Because worry thoughts don't have facts, they just have what ifs. And so if you just consider like, hey, okay, I'm worried that this could happen. Do I have any facts? And then my favorite tool is what I call play it out. And it's a CBT tool. What's the worst case scenario, which is what anxiety loves to draw us to. Then best case scenario, which is going to be harder. It's like a muscle. You have to pull your brain to be like, what would be like rose colored glasses? I'm in a rom-com type of outcome. And then most likely case. And doing this practice, worst case, that one to do first because it's easy. Then best case, hardest. And then most likely. And then just give yourself an opportunity to really do the most likely and be honest, because by the time you've done that, spoilers, that crazy thought has stopped. Yeah, that was mind-blowing to me because I was taught in school to do the stop, stop, stop. And then all my patients were like, this isn't helping. And so finding out that that's a better way to approach it, been life-changing. So what else has been helpful for you?
Well, I'll tell you something that I learned in school to do that ended up not being very helpful for my anxiety. Oh, the old college days. Let's bring us back. Drinking. Yeah. Experiencing anxiety. So for me, I always experienced really bad anxiety in social settings or on like an airplane, for example. And I thought the best thing to do was to drink to ease my feelings.
We hear that all the time, right? It'll calm us down. It's a downer. Yep, take the edge off.
Yeah, get the booze confidence.
Yep.
Using alcohol to soothe your anxiety is like adding gasoline to a fire, to a flame. In the moment, it might make us feel like it's helping, right? It loosens it up. It lubricates the conversation. But in truth, we just know that alcohol is a depressant. It is a literal poison to our bodies. And yet we've been taught, especially in our younger days, to drink it away and disassociate. And hangovers are the worst for anxiety. It's dehydrating your brain. I mean, the science behind what alcohol is actually doing to us is so harmful. So while it might feel good in the moment, in all reality is it's doing more harm than good. So I've actually been sober from alcohol for 3 years now, and it has been the best thing for managing my anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely have felt that like morning after anxiety, like your heart races or you don't sleep as well when you've drank. Yeah, and it's like alcohol induced some scaries, right? So yeah, I think unfortunately, even if it takes the edge off,
it's gonna put the edge back on.
Yeah, but rougher. It's a more harsh edge. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what's another one?
Another one, and I have found this, I went through the Marie Kondo phase, but that is messy home or work environment. Not taking care of it actually makes our anxiety worse.
Tell me more.
I know, because it's funny, and everybody's going to be different. Obviously, these are just things that you have to relate it to your life. But we find like messy environment, messy brain. It's like hard for us to focus because anxiety allows us, it's almost, you can see some overlap with anxiety and ADHD in this, where we jump from thing to thing and we can get overwhelmed from thing to thing. It's really interesting because as we jump from thing to thing or worry to worry, if there's a bunch of things in our environment, we're like, oh, I should fix this. I should. Why is this? Oh, it's such a mess. And we can almost like catastrophize before we've even done anything because it is such a mess. And so they find that cleaning up our space allows for more freedom of thought, easier for us to focus, all the things that honestly anxiety can take from us. So if we find we're struggling to concentrate, struggling to get things done, we sit down at our desk in our home office and we're like, oh, and it just never works. It could behoove you at the very least to take things off of your desk that are bothering you, even if you just put them in the closet, like in a bag, and get rid of them for a bit. That will help you think more clearly and focus more easily. Do you find that to be true for you?
As you can see, I am a maximalist, but this doesn't mean that I think we all need to become minimalists. No, in a white box, but everything needs to have its place, right? And if you're going to make a mess, make sure you set aside time to clean that mess up. Otherwise, you're going to use it as a distraction tool, as it's anxiety provoking. I totally resonate with that one. That was a new one for me. That was good.
Yeah, thanks. So try.
Well, you mentioned one before we started filming that really resonated with me. I was shocked to hear this, but spending too much time alone can be worse when we think it's making us better. Tell me more.
Yeah, so because we overthink, we have uncontrollable worry. If we're all by ourselves for a really long time, we've all spiraled out.
Oh yeah.
Right? And if no one's there to be like, hey, let's go get a coffee, let's go get this, let's do, let's get out of the house, let's go for a walk, let's walk Hippo because he's so cute. Whatever it is, like no one's there to do that. And that's when we can let our thoughts run away.
It's also a really nice mirror to have someone around, right? Like I think we all need our alone time, that's for sure. But just to have someone who knows you really well sometimes to check in or be that reflection of like, hey, you've been alone all day. Do you want to go take a walk? Yeah, and that's so crucial.
Totally. And this work from home environment has made that really hard. And we're getting more isolated, which I think we are only beginning to see the ripple effects of mental illness, because of this, because we're social creatures. I know some of you are thinking, I'm not. We're primed for connection. So making sure we get that is really key.
One big one that I'm afraid to admit is the eating a lot of sugar. And so when I did stop drinking to help my anxiety, I noticed that I replaced one thing with another, which was sugar and comfort eating. Yeah, when I experienced moments of depression, especially during my anxious time, I went straight for the sugar, straight for the sweets. And I thought I'm comforting myself, or like I'm allowing myself to have the treat. And that self-care can turn really easily into now I'm self-perpetuating the anxiety because sugar can make us anxious.
Yeah, because think of kids, right? You give them candy and they have this like sugar peak and sugar crash. Adults are no different. We're just bigger versions of children. And the final thing that I find we do without realizing it that makes our anxiety worse is we avoid those things. And I know you're thinking, but that makes me uncomfortable. Why would I want to be around that more? But the truth is that the more we avoid it, the more we prove to our brain. Okay, so let's get a little nerdy because this will help.
That's why I'm here, girl.
This will help it all make sense. So often we want to avoid these things that make us anxious because our nervous system is essentially created to keep us safe. So it looks in our environment for any kind of threat. And if it sees a threat, we should stay away from it. It could hurt us. So we avoid it. But by doing that, then we've proven to our brain and our nervous system that thing's threatening, I should stay away. But when we stay away, then it marks that off and our world can get really small. So slowly things become unsafe, not okay. That's going to send me into a panic. That's going to cause my anxiety to go through the roof. That's going to make me feel like I have to poop or pee or whatever, because anxiety does that too.
Sure does.
And it can do all these things. And so we start to slowly make it impossible to live a full life. And that is debilitating.
Yeah, it's the thing I like to think about is if I fear this one thing, eventually I'm going to keep fearing bigger and bigger outside of that ring. And eventually I'll fear everything.
Yeah, because they get connected, right? Our brain loves connections. And so it'll be like, well, let's say, I mean, Hippo's beautiful, but let's imagine that he wasn't. And I got bit by him. Yeah. Then I would fear dogs, all dogs, little, big, but it could start out with, I fear dogs that look like Hippo.
Yeah.
Then I fear dogs that bark. And then I fear dogs, and it can kind of grow and grow.
Cats and lizards and bugs. And then it's horses.
Cows.
Yeah. Well, horses are very scared. They're so too tall.
Yeah.
Keep horses out.
But that's how our brain works. And so if we avoid the things that make us anxious, our anxiety will grow. It's almost like a virus that will spread through our life. And so instead, we should challenge ourselves with support and with ways to calm our system down to engage with those potentially anxiety-provoking things, even if it's short-lived, even if it's an imagination. Do that work little by little so our world doesn't get smaller. But if for anybody out there, because I know anxiety is the most common mental illness. If you didn't know, now you know. What's your one word of advice for anybody?
One word? Can I give a sentence?
Oh, one tip, sentence, paragraph, go wild.
So my one tip, which I didn't mean for this to be connected to the conversation we were just having about something that we maybe are doing to help our anxiety, but it makes it worse, is actually to do with our breath. So I always like to come back to the breath when I am experiencing an anxious situation, thought, pattern, or panic even. And the way it relates back to our conversation is sometimes when we're panicking, we tend to overbreathe. We're gulping for air. We want to gasp. We think we're not getting enough because we can't breathe. But that over-oxygenates. It actually makes our heart pump faster. We're tricking our body into thinking something is dangerous happening. So I like to do box breathing. I like to draw a little box on my hand, breathing in for one leg of the square, holding for one leg, breathing out for another. I like to come back to the breath, not over breathing, but just coming back to knowing that this too shall pass. I can control my breath. There are things within my control. I am safe. If I can breathe, I am still alive. I'm still safe. So that is my tip. Go back to your breath.
I love it. Breathing is really important. I know it gets a bad rep because people are like, oh, like breath. Because if I'm really panicked, I don't want to focus on my breath. And it might not be the right tool at that time for you, but it is something to utilize if you're aware it's speeding up. Maybe we'll just slow it down. Do what works for you, but pay attention if you're utilizing any of these things that might be actually making your anxiety worse. And maybe we can shift it so that we're doing things to actually help. But thank you for spending time and sharing all of your tips and tricks, and pick up her book, Don't Fucking Panic. It's great, super helpful. I also love that it's like personal, but very research based. It's beautiful.
Not a doctor. Thanks for having me.
Of course.